Quick question for you. What's the difference between someone who's in massive debt and struggling to pay off their bills versus a multimillionaire? Well, one key difference may lie somewhere in setting financial goals, and that's exactly what I'll be talking about in today's video. So check this out. When it comes to setting financial goals, first, we'll talk about getting motivated and gaining clarity on your direction. Next, staying stress-free after a job loss or car trouble. After that, we'll talk about fueling your dreams, then AI proofing, and finally, increasing your net worth. So let's rewind a little bit. Years ago, I started getting interested in investing and personal finance because of a friend of mine who used to do day trading. And here's where things got interesting. He told me that he'd built up enough of a nest egg through day trading to essentially quit his 9-to-5 and start doing his own thing. And while I had no desire to quit my day job in order to pursue day trading, it still piqued my interest enough to learn more about investing and about personal finance, especially because I was in the process of saving up for my first home and I wanted to live life on my own terms. This led me down a rabbit hole. I wanted to know, did it make a difference whether or not you set financial goals? And if it did, what were some of those benefits? So what I'll be sharing today will be a compilation of 1, my experience, and 2, what I've read up on the matter from experts. But first, a quick question for you. Do you set money goals? Why or why not? Tell me more in the comments below. So first, I want to quickly go into how motivation and direction are connected to setting financial goals. Setting achievable goals can make a big difference in your motivation. Just picture this. We've got 2 students, they're both about to start university. Student A starts university and has a specific goal in mind, to get into medical school. That's her dream. That's where her efforts are focused. Then we've got student B, and student B starts university, sort of floating about, not really sure what her end goal is. She majored in general sciences because, well, she didn't really know what else to do. She takes a few steps in this direction and then that direction, but she doesn't have a clear vision of where she wants to be. There's no big why driving her. That's where goals can help. If you set your sights on a particular target and then take steps to advance towards it, you're much more likely to get there than by luck or chance. You know where you want to be. You have a desire, you have a big why, a reason for taking those classes that you don't love, or for staying up late to finish assignments, or in the case of setting financial goals, a reason for eating what you have in the fridge instead of going to the newest trendy drink spot for the 5th time this week. Setting financial goals gives you a direction. It fuels your determination, especially when you overcome obstacles and show yourself that you can do it. It also makes it easier to take actionable steps, to develop habits, to create systems because you've got a specific goal in mind, and it allows you to track progress and make adjustments along the way. Another reason for setting financial goals has to do with when disaster strikes or when something unexpected happens. So earlier this year, I had an opportunity to chat with a financial literacy leader at CPA Canada, and she said something about emergency funds that really stuck with me. To quickly sum up my takeaway, we know that the past few years have been unpredictable to say the least. Well, this has had a ripple effect on people's perceptions about how much they should have saved up in their emergency funds. Before the pandemic, people thought that having 3 to 6 months worth of expenses was a good idea for their emergency funds. Now, that has grown to 6 to 12 months of expenses. If you're wondering how much you should have saved up, this is a good place to start. One step in setting financial goals involves prioritizing an emergency fund, and the past few years have shown us why this matters. Life is full of surprises, and having a financial safety net can save you from stressing more than you need to due to unexpected expenses. It can also ensure that you can rest more easily at night, even after a job loss or if your car breaks down. Now, my third reason that I want to share with you today has to do with pursuing your dreams. Maybe you're dreaming of finally opening up that online candle store with Twist, or maybe after years and years of hard work, you want to fly off to Sicily and sip on some espresso while having a bite of biscotti. There can be a hefty price tag attached to business expenses or flights and accommodations, but that doesn't mean that you can't pursue your dreams. Like an emergency fund, by planning ahead and setting aside some kind of a buffer, you can manage the risk better, especially if you ever wanted to leave your 9-to-5 or maybe take a sabbatical and explore some far-off places. Next up is reason number 4 for setting financial goals, and this has to do with something that I call AI proofing. Let's take a look at this article. AI could take the jobs of as many as 1 billion people globally and make 375 million jobs obsolete over the next decade. Newer, better-paying jobs likely won't replace those lost, so without widespread retraining and reskilling, ordinary people will have significant difficulty finding new work. Interesting. As a lifelong learner, I think this is pretty neat. At the same time, if this process of continuous learning, reskilling, or upskilling is the way of the future, investing in yourself is a way to safeguard your finances. Having money tucked away or investing in your personal and professional growth will go a long way in the future. Whether it's saving up for certifications, workshops, or further education, setting financial goals can help ensure that you have the means to invest in yourself, and maybe one day find work in a field that doesn't even exist today. Pretty neat. And last but not least, let's talk about setting financial goals and what that has to do with increasing your net worth or your wealth. So earlier in this video, I talked about how a day trader friend of mine introduced me to this whole new world of personal finance. Well, fast forward a few years to a July afternoon, there I am sitting with my iced brown sugar Americano reading this book titled The Millionaire Next Door: The Surprising Secrets of America's Wealthy, which gives you a juicy insider's look at what the rich are doing differently than low-income earners or low accumulators of wealth. Here's where it gets interesting. The book talks about prodigious accumulators of wealth, PAWs or PAWs. This is a group of people who does things differently than the average person. They are better than average at saving and growing their money, so their net worth exceeds most people with similar incomes because they're aiming for financial independence rather than just looking rich to impress people. According to this book, 2/3 of millionaires plan their budgets, where they keep track of spending by category and they set financial goals for each week, month, and even year. And those PAWs we talked about, the super wealthy, they spend over 8 hours per month, or about 2 hours per week, or a little over 17 minutes per day, on financial planning. That's twice as much as UAWs, or under accumulators of wealth. Which leads us to this important point. Financial planning leads to saving, and savings are the raw materials for investing. And the earlier you start investing, the sooner you can start harnessing the power of compound interest to become a millionaire. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you found this useful at all, please consider sharing, liking, or subscribing for more study, career, and wealth tips. Until next time, see you!